What's up guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel, and today I'm going to be showing you how to style text using CSS. Now let's start by creating an H1, and I'm just going to type in styling text with CSS, and it doesn't matter, you can type in whatever you want here. Let's actually open it with Live Server, so we'll have to do it later. And as you can see, I haven't added any styles here yet, and it's default. Now let's go to our styles.css and select the H1 like this. And the most basic style would be the color and the background color. So I'm just going to select a random color here. So let's just do this one. Pink. I feel like that would be too light. You can choose whatever color you want. So we could do this purple, or I guess blue. And now that when we go back, you can see that we changed the color. Now let's just do the background color too, because, well, why not? And you can choose this background color, or you could just do the background. It's the same thing. And we have blue, so I'm gonna just pick this dark gray. And let's go back and take a look. There we go. And if you want to fix this, this space right here, then you can do that by actually just selecting everything and setting the margin to 0 and the padding. And now when we go back, it's fixed. And so now I'm going to show you how to change the size of our text here. So what you're going to want to do is go back to your styles.css and then type in font size. And now you can, I guess, set it to large, medium, small. You could set it to basically words, so the word values basically. So we can do XX large, save it, of course, go back. Or you can set it by pixels and others. So let's just do 60 pixels and it should be huge. So there we go. It's a lot bigger. Or you can set it to something small. So 10 pixels, and now it's going to be very small. And that's probably even smaller than the default paragraph. And so this font size property works on other elements that have text. So I'm going to create a paragraph and then generate dummy text. So lorem. And then I'm going to go back to our styles.css and then select our paragraph. And I'm going to set the font size to not as big as our H1, but let's say around 30 pixels. I think that's still going to be too big. No, that's fine. And now what if I wanted to change the alignment of our H1 to be centered? Because, well, it's a heading and people usually want to be centered. So what you would do is go to your H1 and then the property is called text align. So I'm just going to set the text line to center. And then there we go. So now it's going to be centered, and I'm going to actually just remove the background because it doesn't look really good. And there we go. So you can do the same thing with your paragraphs if you want to, or other elements. So I'm going to do the same thing here. So let's do text align center. And so the exact same thing is going to happen. And if you wanted to, you can also set this to right, like this. And now it's going to be aligned right. And if you don't want to use, left and right, you can also use start and end if you wanted to. So start is going to be the same thing as left, and then end is going to be the same thing as right. And so there's this property called justify, and so what it does is it just basically stretches each line so that they have equal width and the left and right margins are straight. So this is what it would look like. So let's set this to justify. And so this is, well, justify, and, well, it looks basically the same thing as left, but it doesn't. So if we set this back to left, then you're going to see that it's not the same. You're going to see that the spaces aren't, equal, and it's a bit different. And so what if I wanted to underline our H1? Well, there's this property called text decoration, which allows us to do that. So we type in text decoration and then just do underline. And then now we've underlined our text. And there's also a different one. So we can do line through, which is gonna just put a line like this. And then we have none, which is gonna be the default one. So none, and that's what it's gonna look like. So I'm gonna just set this back to underline. And this obviously works on other elements that have text too. So if we add it to our paragraphs, then it's gonna be underlined too, but I'm gonna delete this. And there we go. And so there's this pretty interesting property which is called font weight, and I'm going to add it to our H1. And so this is what it would look like. So font weight, and if I set it to the highest one, so that'd be 900, well, this is what would happen. Nothing really, because it's already set to 900. But I'm gonna set it to something smaller. So let's set it to 100, and you can see that it just the width of the letters changed. So the higher you set it to, the thicker your text is gonna be. And we can set it to our paragraphs too. But yeah, they're gonna be a lot thicker. So it's basically like adding a bold tag in our text. And if you ever want to or need to change the style of the text, well, you can do that by selecting everything and then adding this property, which is called font family. And then you can choose any of these themes here or any of these styles here, or you can download one or link it, which I'll show you how to do it later. And so let's say we wanted this, let's see. Let's just do this one. Let's go back and see. So you can see that everything changed. And so the reason we put it here is because if I just add it to our H1, well, only the H1 is going to have the style and our paragraph won't. So if you want to style, I don't know, a specific element differently, well, you could do something like this. So everything is going to have this style, and then other than, let's say, our paragraphs, they're going to have, I don't know, this style. And this is what it would look like. So if you didn't like any of these styles right here that are given to you, so any of these right here, you can actually go to this website right here, which I will link down in the description. And as you can see, it's owned by Google. And so what you would do is you would just select any of these fonts right here. So let's say I wanted this one. I would click on it, scroll down, and then you'd have this select at the very bottom under styles. You would click it, and then you would have a notification, but I've already done this a few times, so I don't get it. But you would basically click here, and then you would get this use on the web. And what you would do is click on import, and then just copy this right here. Or you could just copy all of this. And then you would go to your styles.css, add it here, but then you just remove, or I guess just cut this, and then remove the style right here. And you would just use this. And if you knew the name and everything, you could just put it, but I would just copy this. So the CSS rules to specify families, and then I would paste it here or wherever you want that style to be. And now, if we go back here, you can see that all the styles have changed. And so I forgot to mention, you can also set this text decoration to this, of course. And then you can also do this. So text decoration color and set it to whatever you want. So let's say I want it to be this cornflower blue, then I'll just do that and then go back, and you can see that we changed the underline color. And you can actually just do text decoration and then set that to line, and then it will do the same thing, but it's just more specific. So there we go. And so I'm going to show you this property called text transform, and this is what it does. So let's add it to our H1, and then the third one, and you can see we have capitalized, lower, and uppercase. So right now, it's set to whatever I wrote here, but if I set it to, let's do capitalize, then every letter would be capitalized. So basically, nothing would change, and this is what it would look like. But now if I go back and set this to uppercase, then you can see that it changed, and now every single letter is going to be uppercase, and same thing with the other properties. So if we set it to lowercase, then everything here would be lowercase, and so none would basically just be the default. So none, and you can see that it went back to default, and so it's pretty useful. And so the last thing I'm going to go over is CSS text spacing, and I'm going to use it with our paragraphs. So we would go here and then just type in letter, spacing, and then you can set it to whatever you want. So let's set it to 20 pixels. And so now it's going to be very spaced out. So between every letter, we're going to have 20 pixels. And so if you want to do something like this, then obviously you can. You can set it to something very small. So let's do 0 pixels. So it's going to be really close. You can set it to -2 if you really want to, and it's going to look really weird. So let's set it to negative, I don't know, 10 pixels. And now, well, I don't know what this is, but if we copy and paste it here, then you can see that, um, yeah, it doesn't work. But yeah, so this property is pretty interesting, and you can do the same thing for word spacing. So you just do word spacing. And yeah, so now every word is, or I guess letter. So actually, I'm just going to set the letter spacing to 0 pixels, and so the word to, let's set it to 20 pixels. And so now you would see that each letter has 0 pixels spacing, and then every word would have 10, or how much did I do? It's gonna have 20 pixels between. So between every word, we're gonna have 20 pixels, and then every letter, we're gonna have 0. So, you can play around and get pretty weird things. So if set this to -20, and then we set the letter spacing to 20, then interesting things like this happen. Or let's say we set this to -20, but then we set this to 20. And so we get this. So yeah. Wait, so you can play around and I guess see what you end up with. And then there's also this last thing which I'm gonna show you, and it's gonna be the line height. So I'm gonna remove this and do it. So line height like this, and we could just do 20 pixels. And so let's take a look. So 20 pixels is very small, so we can set it to something bigger. So let's set it to, I don't know, 100 pixels. That's obviously too much, but it will just add space between every line. And we can even do negative, so we could do negative, let's try 50, not 550. And so now, uh, let's see. I don't know, nothing really happened. So I guess that doesn't work. Yeah, you can't do negative values with this, so we could just, let's just set it to 50. And so yeah, so if you want to do something like double line, then you could just change the line height to something bigger. We can do, let's just do 1,000. Why not? But yeah, so this is gonna be for this video. So thanks for watching it. Like this video if you liked it. Sub to the channel for more content like this. If you have any questions, then leave a comment down below and I will do my best to answer it, and see you in the next video.